Welcome to The Switch, podcasts that are wired to online and offline marketing.
Alrighty, welcome to The Switch. We're the podcast wired for online and offline marketing and branding. This week's show has been brought to you by Notions Design, Wayne over there as usual, and Burning Fruit. Myself, I'm Steve Wigley, and we are joined today by Michael Coghill, who is environmental and sustainability advocate. I mean, we've dealt with some pretty tough issues so far, haven't we, this season? Yes. We've taken a different slant. We've looked at particular industries. We solved all the issues of the stunt industry in the first episode this season. And then we tackled education. And that was a fascinating podcast where, you know, we touched on some pretty touchy subjects. Yeah. But this one, I've been looking forward to for a long time. And
no pressure, Mike.
No pressure. I'm sure we're going to learn a lot, but wowza, this is
juicy.
It's juicy. We're probably not going to solve all the world's issues in one episode, but we're going to give it a go. Thank you so much, Michael, for coming along.
Good to have you on.
It's Christmas time. Yep. And
it's a bit nuts.
It's the time of year where there is a lot of waste around, isn't there? You know, people buy too much, they eat too much, they drink too much, they party too much. I mean, are you all set for Christmas? Is that the kind of Christmas that you do?
I am totally disorganized as usual.
Awesome.
Haven't bought any presents.
Nope.
I'm not a big. I mean, I used to love buying presents, but I mean, the world gets a bit crazy around Christmas, and
absolutely,
there's a good part of Christmas, and then there's a bit of a nuts part of Christmas.
Yeah,
totally agree.
The Verge likes Christmas.
The Verge, yeah. There isn't a Verge in our suburb.
Sammys.
Yeah, good Sammys, definitely.
Get smashed.
Having a good Sammy's Christmas is always a good. Save a bit of cash, and, get some. Another one person's rubbish is another person's treasure. That's
absolutely. Right. Yeah. So, are you saying that your partner does all the preparation for Christmas like mine does?
Yeah.
If it wasn't for my wife, I'd be a failure.
Yeah, I'm really working on my organisation skills. Yeah.
But when I first met you, Michael, we had a little chat about surfing. Have you planned any surfing trips over Christmas?
Well, yeah, I'll get some windsurfing in.
Oh, really?
Windsurfing's the new one. So
really? A new one? Really? Where'd you go? Pinaroo or?
Pinaroo? No, I'm just a little beginner there.
Oh, really?
Okay. Down in Dunsborough over Christmas.
Oh, brilliant.
Weeks.
So I might see you out in the river then. I'm going to be heading some windsurfing. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Let's do it.
Awesome.
Lucky Bay, you ever head down there?
Yeah. Lucky Bay, it's brilliant.
Perfect.
Yeah. It's a bit rubbish when the wind dies. Just as you get there, but you know.
So you might see me wandering right out the point there, just dragging my gear back on occasion, getting smashed by mosquitoes.
I've had a couple of 2-hour swims, I tell you.
It's one of those detected walkbacks.
I love it. It's I'm not good at it, but it's super hard. I find.
Absolutely.
And it's a great balance to, you know, you've got the swell on the one hand, and then you've got the wind on the other. And,
And I bought a wing foil last year, so for that in between point where there's not enough wind to take you out, but there's enough wind just to take you foiling. That's the business. I still got to learn how to do it though.
It's pretty fun.
So getting back to the topic at hand, I got some stats for you guys, and you could probably give me some amazing stats, and I'm sure we're going to find out what those stats are in a bit. But just a couple. Plastic bags, they kill 100,000 animals a year.
That's shocking, isn't it?
Everyone probably knows this one. 100 acres of rainforest destroyed every minute, which is pretty bad.
It's hard to wrap the head around that one.
It is, isn't it?
27,000 trees are consumed every day for toilet paper.
What?
27,000
Toilet
trees.
paper alone?
Toilet paper. Just toilet paper.
It's a lot of shits.
It's a lot of shits and a lot of shit.
Yeah. Wow.
80 trillion aluminium cans
No.
used
way.
every year. What percentage? What do you reckon? What percentage is recycled?
5%.
Well, that's quite a glass half empty there, Wayne.
I thought I'd play it safe. Playing it safe.
Jesus.
Speaking of the
And that was
demoralising.
thinking that was good.
I thought you were going to shock us, so I went low. Lowballed.
Well, 50%, but
Okay.
we are talking 80 trillion.
That's a lot, man.
That's
God.
a lot.
That's an interesting one, though. It's because what is recycled? That's the real question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big claim, 50.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a
I'd
big
be
claim.
very surprised if it was 50.
I'd be leaning closer to Wayne's number.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, we're going to get to those the detail soon.
I need to be careful, though, because
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in the industry.
You are. You are.
And you're the expert.
you are.
That's okay, Mike. We can just cut it out. It's easy.
And the USA, 5% of the world population, they use 30% of total resources.
Mm,
What does that say?
they're hungry.
Cereals.
We're obviously all very passionate about the environment, and I just want to start off this episode with a bit of a bang. Have you guys ever had a rage towards someone or something or some organization that you thought, you look back and you think, geez, man, well, either, geez, man, I wish I hadn't done that because that was teetering on the edge. Or I'm so glad I did that. That was me. I really felt like I empowered myself and stuck up for something I really believe in.
Absolutely.
Yeah? Do you want to start?
Yeah, it was Well, I was
Strong.
early days. We're talking now. Okay, so the early days of Hungry Jacks, and used to pull up at HJ's and get a takeaway dinner on the way to the beach or whatever on a Friday over or a Saturday, and we just parked there eating. So we'd gotten our food through the drive-through and park in the car park to eat it, as you did in those days. Anyway, so I went back in because I'd got the wrong order. And guy had pulled up, was sitting, in a car next to us, and he just threw out a bag of rubbish out of the car. Oof. And I've never really been guilty of that. I might have flicked a chewy out the door or thrown an apple core out the window into the bush or whatever. So, and I just went, "Oi, what are you doing, mate? Pick that up." Like, how hard is it to get out of the car and put it in the bin? And I found that quite empowering. But then also I put real pressure on myself.
Yeah.
Because the moment I did that, I'm going,
Oh, God.
I can't be guilty of this anymore in any way, shape or form, And so then I became a real stickler for it. And I remember driving down to Busso one weekend with the kids when they were really young, and my oldest son just threw his can straight out the window.
Oof.
And I went, that's it, right? And I bloody pulled up. I had to turn around, drive around. I made him get out of the car and pick it up.
Wow.
And the moment he did that, I just had this flash of that time that I picked up the clown that threw his rubbish out the window in the car park. I thought, well, apart from the fact there's some poor bugger that's been paid to have to clean that mess up.
Yeah.
It's just not the right attitude.
No,
to have.
absolutely.
It's funny you say that. Like, that leads into what my rage would be. It wasn't quite a rage. It's more
What's going on?
disbelief. Like, is this real, this life we're in here? Is this the Matrix? What's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The clown, I just remember, I can't remember exactly when. I think it was like 2015 maybe. Maybe it was earlier. It was when Instagram was one of my first posts on Instagram. Looking at the back of McDonald's, the packaging.
Yep.
And they've got the please recycle. But it's literally Ronald McDonald dressed up like a criminal in black and white stripes like the Hamburglar, running throwing rubbish at the bin. And it's like throw it, and it says please recycle, and it's like,
Yeah.
what the hell is this?
Yeah.
They're you can't. It's like it was like a. It just what the hell's going on here? Like that's the messaging, and it's like man, these guys have got a long way to go to get that.
Yeah.
There, but. Yeah, back then was when I was like, pretty ragey.
That's when it started.
Yeah, I was
Ronald McDonald.
breaking all sorts of rules back then.
Passion,
Jeez.
mate. Yeah,
Wowza.
absolutely.
Wowza.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine. At first when I arrived in Australia, we had these beautiful beaches, and this one guy decided to. I saw him smoking, just on the verge. I think it was one of the northern suburb car parks. He was just in the car park, ready to go down to the beach, and he was smoking away. And I just said to my family, "You guys go ahead. I'm just going to watch this guy." And I watched him finish his cigarette, and he threw the butt. And I just knew he was going to do that. Yeah. And so I got out the car, and I picked up the butt, and I followed him all the way down the beach, talking very loudly into his face, saying, "What kind of an example are you setting these kids? What are you doing? You're destroying the environment," all the way down the beach.
Wow.
And little did I know, it was one of my daughter's friends'
dads.
No. We went the opposite direction as soon as we realised, man. But I felt great. I said, it doesn't matter who it is, really, even if I know them. It's disgraceful.
Yeah.
So we're all pretty passionate.
Yours is the best though.
Oh jeez,
Just imagine you.
So you watch
right
it, you guys.
Cigarette butt. Everyone's walking by going, "This guy's a weirdo."
Make sure you pick up all your windsurfing gear, eh? So where did it all start for you guys? I mean, obviously Ronald McDonald was pretty young for you there. I mean, did it start in school? Did it start with listening to a song? I mean, where did it all start? Did it start with a movie? I mean, there's a few environmental movies out there that really have come to light of recent years, but
I don't think there was any in my day when I first remember movies. But I do remember WA had a really good campaign on TV, an animated cartoony type thing, and it was along the lines of the slip slap one, but it was all about litter.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was
what year? What era?
That would have been
70s, 80s.
It would have been 77, 76, 77.
Yeah.
So I was in grade 6, grade 7. I think that's when I remember it around that time.
Yeah.
And that was probably my first sort of understanding in a generalised fashion about litter and that it's not really great.
Yeah.
Before that, I don't think it ever entered my mind.
Okay.
So it's a fair while ago. It certainly didn't start with a movie or anything. So it's like in those days, we've talked about it on this program before. The 70s and 80s. There's such great TV commercials, great jingles, and this one had a catchy jingle behind it. But don't ask me to recite it because I couldn't. But that's probably the time that I first got on board.
Yeah, 70s. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Michael.
Yeah, it's really hard to know. Really, like. I've been thinking about this a lot recently because been a lot of change in the last couple of years, and digging back into the history, asking those harder questions. How'd we get here? And it's pretty crazy, but had some early experiences where we were fortunate enough to go to Africa when we were quite young, so I was still in high school.
Yeah, and
so had a real moment there. We were out in the middle of a village in Africa, and seeing how they would reuse their Coke bottles. Had a really great system in the middle of nowhere.
Wow.
But we're going in there, and it's like you're seeing the real levels of poverty. And I was going to a private school, being flown in by Dad was working mining, so we were the wealthy, white people in the middle of this village in the middle of Africa.
Yeah.
And so having that realization, there's this huge disparity here. There's a gap.
Yeah.
We don't all live the same.
Huge contrast.
Yeah, and the contrast of our consumption and then other areas' consumption and what's driving that. So that was an experience that I think I'm still trying to understand what's going on. Why are we doing this and how's it?
Yeah. Wow.
And then that was the first trip. and handing out just a piece of paper to someone was like a fucking massive gift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's a pencil and some paper.
Wow.
There you go. I'm like, yeah, awesome. Like, mate, you want some more?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And seeing that, and then going back another couple of years later, so we're fortunate to go a few times. There was a moment on the back of this whitewater rafting expedition we did where we went right down into the Zambezi River whitewater rafting. And to get back to the top where it all started, you got to catch a little bus.
Yeah.
And so it's a bunch of tourists on this bus, all paying good US dollars to go have this rowdy, grade 5 rapids experience.
Yeah.
Big rubber duckies. Really extreme. Like no one, there was one old guy on there who literally got blasted out and broke his back. And they, African style rescued him and brought him back, but he was all stretched up. But this is in the middle of the going down the rapids, and had to, obviously you're in the middle of rapids, like someone's injured, we'll get him back in the boat. We've got to finish getting out of here because there's literally no way out of the canyon.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
So this poor guy's just stuck in the middle with like a broken, fractured something. And so it's quite a massive experience. And as we're going back, we're on this bus and we're just all like, man, we've just been through this crazy whitewater rafting rapids experience. And on the bus, yep, cool, that's next. Let's go back to where's this bus? Oh, it's going back to where we jumped in the river. And so we've had this experience going down this river that was epic. And then it's like, man, this must be a massive long bus ride back. Yeah. It wasn't that long of a bus ride. But the bus literally just went on these sandy dirt paths from wherever we were back to the source up near Victoria Falls. And it's literally going straight through the middle of like a 4 or 5 hut village every, couple of minutes. Yep. So you've got this bus full of tourists who've collectively paid, let's say 10 to 20,000 bucks.
Yeah.
And it's a circuit, so it's happening regularly. And so the kids in these little areas they know the cycle.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so as we're just cruising along, we've been given these plastic water bottles with water.
Yeah.
And we're drinking our water, and like I've had a sip out of mine. And as you know, when you go on like any kind of a adventure place where you've got heaps of tourists, you've got a full range of tourists. You've got the big elderly, can barely move consumers that's put me from one seat to the next. And then you've got the people that have maybe scrounged every last buck to get there.
Yeah.
You got everything in between.
Yeah.
We were kind of in the middle. And we're going through this village and these kids running alongside the bus. And I'm like, look at these kids. They're like literally racing the bus. This is classic. There's like there's a small bunch of kids and the numbers are getting bigger as we're going along.
Yeah.
And they're yelling and screaming at us at the bus and they're waving their hands. And everyone's like looking like, oh, look at these kids. Like, hi, yeah, hi. And I'm saying, like, I asked the guy, like, what are they saying? What do they want? And they're like, oh, they want your bottles.
Oh.
And I'm like, bottles? What do you mean? They're like, yeah, they want your bottles for their water.
Wow.
And so I'm like, I had my bottle still half drunk. I'm like, open the window, throw it out.
Yeah.
And these kids just go like mental and they're scrapping for it. They get the bottle. It's like they're running, and then this little kid picks it up and he's running. He's got the bottle. And then this bigger kid just comes in and smashes him in the back, takes the bottle, and then like the whole scene, and the bus is still moving, and I'm just like, whoa. And I'm like, anyone else got any more bottles?
Oh, man.
But then, so I'm like chucking I was like basically stealing people's bottles and throwing them out the window. And the other tourists are getting like, angry.
Yeah. Why?
Well, this is my water bottle. It's like,
oh, no.
Did you not see what just happened literally right next to you? Like, if there would ever be a moment.
Yeah.
Like,
Different world.
So for me, that played out beautifully in terms of like how it just showed me the nature of the problem.
Yeah.
here is the big kid just comes and takes the water bottle from the little kid.
Yeah.
Even though he rightfully won it in the first place. It's
Yeah.
like, that's life, man.
That's life. Jeez,
and
man.
just seeing that crazy need and us being on the other end of the spectrum there.
Yeah.
That really instilled a sense of responsibility, I guess, when we got back. I was been doing a lot of reflection, and that it was in that trip that we actually went to Africa, and I pitched the old man on our business plan for the recycling company.
Yeah.
In that trip.
Wow.
So when we got back, I was like, let's do this.
Yeah, you're
I'm ready to
hyped up.
rock and roll.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
you
amazing.
You discovered the passion right there.
Yeah,
and that would have been a privilege for you too to actually to experience that, because at that age and having been able to go back there and see that and see the contrasts. I mean, that's an eye-opening thing, and a lot of people don't get that privilege, and so have a false sense of what's actually really going on in the world.
Yeah. But then to execute it as well. That's
pretty cool.
That's massive, man. That's so cool.
Well, and the journey we've been on is quite interesting, because it's been a hard-fought journey. Like, we've had my dad's a pretty tough guy. Like, he was working as a general manager of mines in Africa for a large mining company. And he was dealing with, like, at the other end of the spectrum, he's dealing with the local general of the army, they're contracted to run security on the mining operation.
Yeah.
There's an underground diesel, petrol stealing operation being coordinated by the general.
Oh.
So it's like Dad's kind of in this, like, ends up figuring out, it's bloody generals behind it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he's the one with all the guns.
Oh, jeez.
So this rowdy, like, the context is quite interesting, because it's like my dad's a real solid, hard-nosed general type person, like really strong background, came from, a pretty difficult upbringing and self-made man. And, here we are in Africa. Like, he's flown us out.
Where in Africa are we talking about?
This is in Zambia.
Oh, Zambia. Wow.
And, we're fortunate enough to go to Tanzania as well.
Yeah.
So saw the Serengeti and the Ngorongoro crater when I was very young, and seeing that rich nature, having that palpable experience of this is what you see on those TV shows.
It is,
And then seeing the human element,
So lucky.
people living around that wildness, and then seeing those water bottles and seeing the plastic making its way in is and then here we are, 20 years later, and 15, 20 years.
And
It's
still
worse than ever.
It's still
talking about
just
it.
raging ahead. So
Worse than ever. Jeez, man. We will get to some of the more controversial topics in a bit, but for me, it was back in school. I left Hong Kong. It's not exactly the recycling center of the world, and went to boarding school. And I saw all these privileged, farming kids. Yeah. And I realized quite early on there that, there's something wrong. I tried to get my parents onto, like, recycled toilet paper and eating vegetarian and all sorts of stuff. And I tried to bring it into the boarding school.
Being a right pain in the ass for your parents.
Well, yeah, exactly. My mum was...
So this is in the UK?
This is in the UK, yeah. My mum makes amazing Chinese food. So I was like, saying, no, I can't have that because it's all, like, meat. It didn't last very long, but, that's when I first put my foot down and thought, okay, I've got to make a stand. And in school, all these rich kids couldn't give a shit about the environment. And they called me Eco Boy. And I
love it.
And I was just like, man, you guys, you wait.
You would have worn that proudly.
Yeah, well, but
Passionate crusader.
Yeah, but I was on my own. No one else could see it, and it was pretty sad. And they're probably none the wiser nowadays. It's quite sad. Yeah. But thank you so much for that little insight. We're going to get into in a bit.
That was awesome.
In a couple of minutes.
Good story.
Nice one, guys.